Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Just leaving the office. It's been a long day. Totaled up freedom. Heading out to pick up my daughter, and I wanted to do this video. I've been wanting to do this video for a little while now, and I'm going to title this Debt Relief Options, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, because there's a few different options that are available in Canada and kind of like hybrid type versions of those. And a lot of this information I'm going to give you right now is actually going to apply to the North American market in general, including the United States. There's a lot of information, a lot of misinformation. The media tends to publish stories that lean more on the creditor perspective, so what's good for the credit card companies and the stories and our narratives that they tell. So I'm going to give you the cold hard truth here. So buckle up, because we're about to hop into this one. So let's talk about the ugly first. The first thing that you need to know is that the ugliest form of debt relief that is available, and I'm not saying ugly like it's, you know, the ugly duckling and it's brutal to look at, but as far as your options go, it's probably one of the worst things you can do to eliminate your debt. Not that it doesn't work, it does work, but it's not a good option for this reason and this reason only. When you go through a program called credit counseling, they're usually set up as a non-profit program to help you get out of credit card debt. The problem with them is that about 70% of their compensation, their revenue, comes from the credit card companies, the banks, and organizations similar to that. So most of their money comes from the very people that you owe. Because of that, they cannot act independently. They can't act for you as a consumer. They will get you out of debt. They will put you in a program that basically reduces the interest. But if you owe $25,000 in credit card debt, you'll pay back about $25,000 plus a reduced interest rate. So your total cost might be $26,000, $27,000, $28,000, let's say. So you get out of debt for that. Now, does it work? Yes, it absolutely does work. But the downside to it is, again, it's not a program that acts for you. It acts for the banks and the credit card companies. It doesn't reduce your principal owed, meaning if you owe $25,000 when you start, you still owe $25,000 throughout the entire program. It doesn't eliminate debts one after the other. The way that it eliminates debts is it basically, wow, that guy's flying, is it basically takes your payment monthly and then distributes it to all your credit card companies in small amounts until you're paid off, usually over a period of 5 years. Because of that, it's listed on your credit report as a debt repayment plan, so it's not good for your credit. It's often viewed by credit card companies and grantors as the same thing as a bankruptcy or a consumer proposal, those types of plans. And it doesn't offer any immediate debt relief or debt reduction to who you owe until the end of the program, because they can each get a little bit monthly. They're not paid off until the end. So again, there's no real benefit as far as savings. There's no real benefit as far as improvement in credit score. It doesn't do any of those things for you. So that's the ugly. The other thing that you have to consider is these nonprofit outfits are often viewed as a kinder, friendlier, more kind place, like a collection agency that gets people out of debt. They have a board of directors which are governed and sat on by people that work at banks, credit card companies, collection agencies, accounting, auditing firms, that sort of stuff. So while it does work, you have to consider the source and of course consider how they get paid. They don't tell us in a very transparent fashion, but again, most of their money comes from the very people that you owe. Let's move on to the bad. Now, when I say the ugly, I'm talking bad is kind of like middle tier, and those would be the bankruptcy, the consumer proposals in the US, that are Chapter 7, Chapter 13, those types of plans which eliminate debt using the bankruptcy. In Canada, I'm going to refer specifically to the Insolvencies Act because we're a Canadian company. That's basically the environment that we deal with, so we're familiar with that. But the reason why I'm putting this in the bad category is it does work, it is effective, it's a very good plan, in fact, if you're insolvent. And what that means is if you owe considerably more than what you own. So if you owe several $100,000 or $100,000 of credit card debt in well over your head, and you maybe have $30,000 worth of assets or equity in your home or something like that, it's actually a pretty good approach to relieving yourself from debt. We often recommend people approach a bankruptcy trustee for assistance, and we do send people there on a regular basis that aren't a good fit for what we do. So the good thing is it does work, it's very effective, and it wipes out the debt. It gives you a clean slate. Now, most people know that bankruptcy practitioners that do consumer proposals, it's really the same thing. It's viewed by the credit grantors and creditors as basically a complete failure on your part as a consumer to repay your debt. It obviously does the worst amount of damage to your credit report. Depending on which approach you take, if it's a bankruptcy, depending on how many times you've been bankrupt, what your asset levels and what the tables say, you're usually discharged just after about a year. If you're second time bankrupt, it takes a little bit longer. And if you're doing a consumer proposal, it can take up to 5 years. All of these plans will do a lot of damage to your credit, and they will reduce the amount of debt that you owe, which is a good thing. So if you come into it with $25,000, let's use that same amount, depending on what your assets are, the bankruptcy trustee follows these tables that the government sets out for them. They do a little calculation, and then you have a certain amount that you pay back monthly if you're in a bankruptcy or over a period of 5 years, and then you're basically debt-free. At the end of it, you're discharged, you have a clean slate, and then you're done. But when you do this sort of thing, you hand over not only your debts to the trustee, you also give them your assets. So you have to pay any value in a vehicle that's not exempt, any tools of trade. If you're a mechanic, for example, if you have equity in your home, you need to pay that into it as well. So it's not a simple or easy process. It does take a period of time. It's very mechanical, and you go through all these steps that the government table outlined for you, but it does work, and it offers a good amount of relief, especially for people that are insolvent. Again, you owe considerably more than what you own in assets. A bankruptcy or consumer proposal is a good approach to consider. Let's move on to the good. The program that I'm putting in the good category is the debt negotiation approach. This is what we do at Total Debt Freedom. We've been doing it since 2003. You can also do this yourself. You don't necessarily have to hire a company or a law firm to do it for you. I actually published a guide. It's available on Amazon as a Kindle. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put a link below so you can check it out. For less than $10, you can literally learn how to settle your own debt all by yourself. I go all the way down the rabbit hole and divulge all the information you need to know to get out of debt. So, if you want to do it yourself, probably the best way to approach it is spend $10, grab a guide. It's not long, it's an easy read, it's less than 100 pages, all the information's there. If you're the type of person that has tried to do things on their own and have been unsuccessful, I recognize that approach, which is why, of course, Total Debt Freedom has been around for a long time. We operate as a law firm. We have the ability to negotiate on your behalf because we're acting on your behalf. We are consumer advocates. We've been consumer advocates since day one. It's basically why I set up this business, was to help people that are struggling with credit card debt, to help the little guy get out of debt faster on a budget that fits their monthly income. The benefits to this program is you have considerably more control as you're going through the program, because you're not distributing small little payments to your credit card companies every single month like a nonprofit credit counselor would, and you're only debt-free at the end of the program. Our approach is to knock off each creditor one after the other, and because of that, your credit score actually improves by the time you graduate. So it hasn't gone down the toilet like it will have with a bankruptcy or a consumer proposal or nonprofit credit counseling. Most of our clients graduate with an increase in their credit score, which is beneficial to a huge degree to anybody that's concerned about that. The other advantage, of course, is there's a significant savings. We don't just reduce the interest. In fact, the interest is often negotiated right off the plate, but the principal is also reduced as well. Our clients, if they come into the program with a $25,000 debt load, would often see themselves graduated and out of debt for about 40 to 60% of what they owe. When you factor in the fee to do the work, you're still even out of debt for way less than what you owe on the day you start the program. So let's put that in perspective. You start today You're in the program for 3 years, you graduate 3 years later, you started out with $25,000, you'll be out of debt for somewhere between $15,000 to $20,000, including the fee. It all depends on who your creditors are and what your personal situation is. Our approach is different for everybody. There's no cookie cutter, carbon stencil that we use for everybody. It is a unique approach for everybody. Everybody has a different reason why they fell into debt. They have different monthly budgets, they have different asset levels and different classes of debt. It is very different depending on what you're bringing to the table. So there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. I would love to hear your opinion and your thoughts on the matter. Please leave a comment below. If you're watching this on YouTube, of course, subscribe to the channel. And if you're seeing this on Facebook, please feel free to share this. It is an important message and something that people need to get their heads around. There's very, very different approaches to getting out of credit card debt. I know most people will often try to get a debt consolidation loan. And of course, if your bank is not able to approve you or you're declined, the next thing that you want to look at are these good, bad, and ugly approaches. They all have benefits and they all have downsides to them. To go to the downsides, of course, on the good approach with the debt negotiation, it is a little bit more uncertain than a bankruptcy or a credit counseling approach. It is an informal proposal that is very successful when taken care of properly. The way we've done it has worked very well. We've graduated thousands of clients and saved them millions of dollars worth of credit card debt. And our Better Business Bureau rating is, of course, an A+ with an accredited stamp. You don't get those sorts of ratings if you're not good at what you do. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Would love to hear from you. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye now.